So these are the heads, how they'll be loaded in the printer in slot 2, 3, and 4. You don't have to use those slots, but those are the most convenient ones. These would be like this, but I don't want to damage that flat flex cable. So these pneumatic fittings, you just push on the collar to pull the tubing out. And to set it back in, you just insert and it's locked. So this is simple. You can adjust this with a 2.5mm hex driver if you want to seat this higher up or further down, depending on how long a series of static baffles you want to use. And for your heads here, the tricky part, you load your EMO as you normally would. This collar, instead of holding in the lure tip adapter or the standard 1.5 or 2mm nozzles, this holds in a 1032 tapped adapter, which takes this elbow. So that's all there is to it. These have a little gasket on them. You could include some Teflon tape if you wanted to. It just goes in here. Now, depending on how viscous your material is, you may want to load the tube first, or you may want to draw material up into it. That's up to you. Tighten that guy on, just like any other EMO. Put him in place and lock him down. And that is how the SMH2 is loaded and operated. Also, if you're using your static mixing head with syringe dispensers instead of the hard-bodied EMOs, you can just get 2 of these, which we're sending out now, and if you need one and didn't get 1 or 2, just let us know. You just put that in the lure lock fitting and load those in instead for whatever size syringe you have. Alright, let's go take a look at the head. In this video, we're going to show you how the Hyrel3D static mixing head, or SMH2, actually works. So there's some misconception. Some people think that it's got to be a static ratio. We have a different head for static ratios. With this head, you can either give a 50-50 blend, or you can anything from 1% to 99%. You can dial in the ratios from each of your heads. So here on the screen, you can see I've got the heads loaded in slot 2 and slot 4, and the actual blending head is locked in here in slot 3. Now we do have to load these tubes up high unless you have a really long baffle needle that goes down here, because we don't want the tubes to drag into the material that we're printing. On the screen where we have these 2 heads, I'm going to scoot over 3 clicks to the material flow rate multiplier on the overrides page. And if I wanted 60% from slot 2 and 40% from slot 4, I would just dial this guy to 0.6. And this guy to 0.4. And when I start my job, that's how we would do it. I would also come over here and set head number 4 to be a clone from the head number 2 in slot 12. That's yoke 1, slot 2. I'd come over here and I would apply by right-clicking and flashing those settings. And I do the same over here. Right-click and flash those settings. And now I'm ready to go. And you can see the settings that it has. Again, are 60% and 40%. And you can actually adjust these multipliers during your print, either through G-code commands or just by clicking on this and putting in a new value. You do have to use the arrows. If you just type a number, it won't read it. It won't send it to the printer. But when you click the arrows, it will send that new value to the printer. If you want to see that, we can look at our Comlinks tab and look at our transmit button. If I change this ratio, it sends an M911, which means it's emergency command, and it goes to the top of the queue. It doesn't wait in the print buffer, and it changes my S value for M221 on this head to 0.65, and I can set it back down to 0.60. All right. With that done, to start a print, we would just have our G-code loaded. Here we do, and click print. Now I'm only printing air in this case, but if you have any questions, look for more information at Hyrel3D.com or Hyrel3D.net, or just send us an email or give us a phone call. Look for you in the next video.